One, two, three. Good. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to this session. I know it's a difficult slot, so I will try to speak very slowly so you fall asleep. That's the plan. Now, this is not a very dense talk, I expect. So hopefully you can follow without paying too much attention on the slides. But yeah. Anyway, so my name is Cristián. I have been working in the Qt company for almost 8 years now. Besides being humbled about my C++ knowledge, I had the chance of working on a new project back then, which was the official set of Python bindings. So then from there, I started to get some interest in the whole language kind of ecosystem or interoperability in a sense. So now I want to tell you something very interesting that we are working now from recently, only a few months. But it's an idea that has been in the minds of many people. So for just to get in a feeling from all of your side, because I know there's a few Qt people here, but how many of you are currently developing something or have developed something with Qt? Okay, raise your hand. Okay, so most of you have some interest. C++ developer, that you consider yourself? Rust developers? Python developers? Good. Okay, so it's mostly C++ focused. Good. So yeah, I mean, you can find me there. If you have questions, you can ask me at the end of the session, and if not, I will be around for the whole day. So let's start with an easy question so we don't divide the people here in the audience. What is the best programming language out there? Is anyone brave enough to shout which one is the best programming? In each conference is a different answer. Yes, it's a tricky question, and I guess that you have all been in situations where this question was kind of asked in a way, or you have been discussing with friends, right? You need to look in some data. I know sometimes people don't trust the whole surveys because it really depends of, the sources of who is the people going there and answering questions for the specific survey, or who is using or Googling most, or is something that you are search more in the internet more relevant than the people that maybe know everything by memory. So if you look at the TOB index, at least from the past month, Python has been the #1 there. C++, I think, at a few months or last year surpassed C. But you need to look into somewhere, right? Some kind of ranking. If you have more other surveys or something, you can please let me know, because I like to add more. Because that's the situation currently with TOB index. But also if you look in other places, like the Stack Overflow survey, again, who is using the Stack Overflow now? Is maybe only beginners, so the answers might be a bit weird there, but still, at least they do these professional developers or learning to code separations. You can see here, of course, JavaScript is still the king in that, but while learning how to code, again, you have Python, and JavaScript goes a bit down. I'm sorry for the Rust fellow, but Rust is not in these tops that I selected, but it's there. I know it's there. So it's a tricky question, right? And I guess that most of you, at least, will be mature enough or professional enough to know that just speaking one language overall to do all your things is not a good idea. I know some people that have been writing websites in with C++ for some reason, but I hope that in your ecosystem or in your work you have the option and to be completely aware and say, okay, for this specific problem, do I really need to use my whatever favorite language is there? So the idea and the solution that most of the people that has some years working in industry, of course, is that you need to have a set of different tools. And maybe you like Rust or Python or C++, but sometimes you need to use a little bit of Bash for some reason, or maybe Perl if you're brave enough. Other languages, right? So you need to embrace this idea of you are not using only your favorite language for everything. And this is what usually Qt is kind of doing, in my opinion. My background is a bit different. Even though I am doing C++ and Python, I'm more inclined to the whole Python ecosystem. One of the biggest kind of good things, in my opinion, of Python is that everything is included, right? So batteries include. For me, when I was learning Qt back in 2009, Qt was the batteries included for C++, because there are many things that were very complicated, at least for me back then, and in Qt you managed to get a few things done there. So I hope that you also agree, at least with this idea, that we need a set of tools in order to solve the specific problem. So a bit of the Qt project, in case, well, most of you raise your hands, so I will not bore you with this There is no 20 slides now of what Qt is it. But at least if you are new to Qt or haven't been trying Qt for a while, I will encourage you. Recently, I was just checking what can I show you to convince you to at least give it a try. And we have this new website that I don't know if everyone knows it. Does anyone know the website? No? Well, yeah, you know the website. So it's a very interesting website because it's, in my opinion, a very cool. When was it? I think that I don't have it. Ah, here. So you have a really nice way of having something on the browser so you can give it a try. Of course, these examples and tutorials are very massaged in a way that, you know, people go in there, they see a very sophisticated thing, but there is a lot of things going on. And the good thing is that, of course, you can play around. I don't know if I change this, if this will work. But you can change the, well, something change. I don't remember which color, but something change. So you can try it around. It's very cool. So, but even for the people that is doing Qt, maybe just, you know, check it out. It's a very interesting website, at least way of understanding this thing. Right. So going back. So something interesting that happened in the Qt project, in my opinion, is that there has been a few programming languages that have been taken not over, but you know, being included in the Qt project, the idea of it. As you all know, C++ has been the first one since many years now. QML was introduced in 2010. Then Python was not introduced officially in 2011, was in 2016, I think, but at least the development of a new project was starting that day. But we are currently in a situation that, yeah, I mean, we kind of don't have more languages in the Qt project, which some might say, well, that's really okay, then you don't need to worry about it. But the problem that I see with this is that we see, at least in this conference, I have noticed that, you know, everyone is talking about Rust or even other programming languages. So how you can integrate into those ecosystem, or which one is the language, the correct language for you to like to maybe include in this project, so we can have a more like, you know, broader scope, or people can use some of the things that Qt has been developing for so many years. I guess that none of you have been written a UI framework from scratch, I hope. Well, if you, did you, roughly? Okay. Huh? Ah, okay, right. So building a UI framework is a huge effort, right? There is a few companies out there that are usually doing this from scratch, taking all the knowledge that maybe made some other frameworks to fail, or they are nitpicking something from, I don't know, GTK and Qt and trying to make something. It's a lot of work. So I believe that that approach is very challenging, but it's something that is more on the, you need to have a lot of time in order to reach maturity levels that other frameworks that have been around for many years have reached. So the approach so far that we have been trying in the Qt project is bindings. I hope that everyone here is familiarized with bindings for the languages. But in case you are not specifically with Qt, I wanted to at least highlight a few of the bindings that we have. We have a little QR code in case you want to see the huge list. There are like programming languages that I didn't even know that exist. But there you have at least a selection of the ones that I have been exposed in a way. So Python you see at the beginning, PySide, the official one, and PyQt, the one developed by Riverbank. So both of them kind of like are the same level, but going in different directions now, but this is not a talk about that, but just for you to know. There have been, of course, many attempts to put Rust within the Qt ecosystem. I would say that the most advanced now, well, not mature, but more advanced now will be CXX Qt, which our friends from KDAF has been developing. So if you have questions, maybe you can drop by their stand and ask him around, because there was a lot of course, knowledge provided by other ones like QMeta, Object RS, and stuff like that. To my surprise, do we have any Java developer in the audience? Don't be afraid. It's fine. Safe space. Good. QtJambi, the official Java bindings for Qt, has been super active lately as well. I mean, they have been releasing, I think, at 1 or 2 days after Qt is being released, and everything is out. So there is some interest in Java as well. So, I mean, I really doubt that this person is very bored and say, you know what, I will just take care of the Java bindings for Qt. And so on and so forth. I mean, there is like Julia bindings, or some weird experiment with Node.js, NIM, and SIG as well. I didn't update this thing lately, but you can see there more or less which ones are more active than others. Some of them have companies behind them, but still, it's a very interesting approach, and people has been doing this thing for a long time. So the whole concept of adding new languages to the Qt ecosystem is nothing new. I think that if you ask any contributor to Qt, they have been at some point thinking like, yeah, why should we have this language because it's better at doing this thing. But back then in 2022, at least Volker did a keynote and during Academy, which is the KDE conference. And one of the things there was like, well, we want to have the more languages of the Qt ecosystem, so building the future together and stuff. And we have seen this thing in other open source trying to embrace and include other programming languages as well. So it's something that has been settled. And as I said, there have been many talks about different programming languages during the Qt World Summit, other Qt-related conferences, and other people just even trying things out. But as I said, so far, the only approach has been bindings, which is, in my opinion, very hard. So do we really need more programming languages overall for this thing? I would say that yes. And the motivation has been, as I said before, that you need UI frameworks in the language that you are using at some point. I know that for some languages, of course, you are only doing scripting or maybe automation. You don't need anything. But the moment that you start learning a new programming language, at least I see this in beginners in the forums or platforms that I visit, that everyone wants to at some point do a little, I don't know, to-do app, calculator or something, and then put it in your phone or whatever. So there is a lot of need for UI frameworks. And it might be no surprise to many of you, I don't think that for the Rust developer in the audience, that even, for example, I remember this website for a long time was there like, are we GUI yet? Mostly highlighting all the UI framework solutions that the Rust ecosystem has. If you go there, there is a huge list. If you just scroll, there are many options up there. And again, there are a few ones that are very mature that I have seen that I believe that they can serve the good purpose of having a nice application. But again, the problem that we are dealing here is like, yeah, you can do a nice calculator, right? But what's after that? Oh, maybe you have a super convoluted application at your work. Well, that's cool. But does the UI framework is compatible and has some ISOs that complain with, you can use it in medical devices, for example. This is something that the Qt framework has. Like, you can use it in some medical devices. It's not a medical device itself, but I was not afraid, but it was very entertaining to see that when I went to the dentist close to my office, I noticed that the software that they were running was Qt. Because I think by mistake, she put the F1, so the help thingy came up, and it was the default one, and I was like, oof, okay. Well, I hope there's no bugs in this application or something. But it's out there. Maybe for that one, you don't need any certification, but it's interesting to see Qt in many ways. I guess as many of you know that Qt can be used in desktop application, but it's big in automotive industry. You have seen all those fancy cards with, the screens that, well, for some people are cool, for some people not. Animations and stuff. Most of them are built with Qt. There are other things. To my surprise, for example, does anyone use Telegram here? No? The chat help Telegram? No? Okay, so have you tried the desktop application? A friend of mine told me like, oh, that's a really cool application. It's so fast compared to the application. I was like, yeah, because it's Qt. It's not Electron. I'm not saying that Electron will be always slow, but yeah, it's one of the nice things that for some people, at least in this audience, is not the case. But when they don't know Qt, they start to notice like, oh, I have used Qt in a few things. So I was saying that besides the need of UI frameworks, being based in C++, I think that it's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing because it's very flexible regarding bindings to other languages. Bad thing because, of course, it can get convoluted and a bit complicated, and there are things that, of course, concepts that you need to expose to other languages that are a bit weird. Language showcase, if you want to, I have seen this with new programming languages that one of the first things they do, well, besides other things, is that they try to have bindings for other frameworks. Qt has been one of them. If you want to showcase your own language, people kind of get motivated to that. And also, even if some people might say, yeah, but Qt has been around for so many years, it's still not popular. Well, we do see like a lot of people using it all the time. Maybe it's not as, as super new now because, of course, people is aware of them, and it's not a surprise. But that's the thing that I want to focus at least on this talk, which is something completely new that we are doing. I don't know how many of you have the option to, instead of maintaining software, writing new things from scratch, but it's very exciting at least for that. So what other languages are bringing to the table at the moment? I don't want to specify all the languages that we can have, but I will try to focus in two, mostly because of the binding popularities. Rust because of the popularity that we have seen even in this conference, and Python because the amount of downloads that we get for the Python binding is huge. I think we reached 1 million a couple of months ago. I posted somewhere. So on the Python side, this is You are not supposed to read it, don't worry. This is something that we used to highlight a lot for new people, like when they were like questioning, like, should I really learn Python or learn the Python way of Qt compared to my C++ knowledge? I would say, well, you can. And the quick prototyping thing, it was something that we were highlighting. So on the left side, you can see a very simple application that has a push button inside our QMain window, and then you just launch in this thing. It doesn't include the CMake file, of course. And then on the right side, you get the Python part. And some of you will say, well, that's cool, prototyping. Some other people say, oh, that's terrible, there's everything in the same file. But you know, it is less lines if you want to put it in that way. And for some people, they really wanted to have that. I know projects that they have started using Python and Qt and say like, yeah, we are just doing this as a prototype, but later on we will write it in C++. And they don't rewrite it because all this performance that we all the time expose or wanted to achieve was not really a deal breaker for that specific application. So it's up to you, of course. I will not force you over anything. And the reason of this and the popularity of this, I would say that from the Python side, has been for the heterogeneity that has the ecosystem. If you are doing web development, at least in the Python ecosystem, Django is still very popular out there. I don't know if you have read the recent updates of Ruby Gems and the Ruby Central drama, if you're a Ruby programmer, but maybe we will see more people jumping into Django soon. Fast API also has been a new module to us to implement REST APIs super simple way. Only with a few lines of code, you guys use REST API server. On the data science side, even if you are not a favor or not of artificial intelligence, data science itself also is a really cool field, and most of these things, PyTorch and TensorFlow, are Python modules, but of course they are based in some C++ core, right? So this combination seems to be a pattern that might be worth to explore. And in embedded system as well, you have seen maybe yesterday the talk about extending MicroPython with Rust. There's MicroPython and CircuitPython that has been a very simple way for you to get exposed to microcontrollers. Again, maybe only little applications here and there, but at least I was sharing it that there was some MicroPython in one of these, I don't know, I think that it was in the Mars expedition or in some other space thing of reading some sensors and putting some data somewhere. So MicroPython was in the space. So the package distribution, as you can see at the top, pip install py-6 is, in my opinion, the most simple way that you can get to install packages. I get from the Rust folks also can be something very positive to cargo install and then or cargo build, and it's super interesting and simple for the projects. But it's something that Python brought to the table, at least for the Qt users, that we will just require for them just one command, and then you have it, you can start it. So now I want to do a test for the C++ developers. When I count to 3, please answer the first word that comes to your mind. So what do you use to install C++ libraries in your project? 1, 2, 3. Nothing, right? Well, maybe some of you will say, well, BC package, or maybe, no, I use Chocolatey from Windows. Some of you might use the CMake thing that. So this is, at least back then, for the C++ developers, it was a nice thing because then one command and that's it, you are there. The other interesting case, the interoperability between both languages. The standard implementation of Python is written in C, it's called CPython. And you have a really interesting way of exposing C++ module to Python. That's one approach. The other thing that you can do, which is very, to my surprise, was heavily used in the VFX industry, is to embed a Python interpreter within your C++ application. Maybe you're familiar with this. Maybe you have used in one of those VFX platforms. But at least they usually do embed this Python interpreter. You can have a nice plugin system for your code, right? So you can have, the flexibility of Python on the user exposed API for writing some plugins, but then your whole application in C++. So it seems like a good compromise, and some people is using it. Why not? But this is not a talk about Python. If you have more questions on Python, there is action documentation and things over there. And some of the things that I forgot to mention is that, of course, one of the perks of Python is that Python is easy. Or isn't it? So I have a few Python developers. Who thinks here Python is easier compared to your favorite language? Do we have? Don't be shy. It's simple. Okay. I always try to highlight these facts in Python conference because everyone, when they are Python developers, the ones that I know, are very afraid of C and C++. But I always try to highlight that Python also can be a complicated language. And I am very against this idea of no, C++ is too convoluted. Yeah, but also can be super easy. At least if you see some examples, it's very approachable. So if you think that Python is easy, you know what this code does. It's valid Python. I will not ask you, I will not put you on the spot. Does someone know what it does? Someone have tried this thing? No? I promise you it's a valid Python code. This is just doing the split of the string and then putting in the variable s. So this pointer kind of idea is something that is for sure existing. So I will want to be lying to you. So if you put this, then you have a list. So you have initialization of your list. What about this code? Maybe it will take you some time to think, but you can also do some kind of meta programming in Python and maybe adapt some lists. So in this case, we are just taking as a base the list type and just modifying a few things, doing some lambda function, trying to do some weird functionality. It can be very complicated, see? This code, for example. I don't know if we have any people here fan of code golfing, but I really like code golfing, and this was a solution that I lost again because it's 2 characters shorter than the one that I wrote, but this is a way of detecting if n is a power of 2, and it's valid Python code. It's not hacking anything or anything like that. Or this one is very famous if you're familiarized with equine, or you can do, of course, obfuscated. That's also valid Python code. In case you want to calculate Fibonacci, then you can have this rabbit thing. But okay, let's forget about Python in a way, but just to highlight that this complexity of languages is super, super subjective. So on the Rust side, in case you are not familiar with, because even though we had plenty of Rust talks today, and Rust has been, I think, every single day in Hacker News or Lobsters or any other feed of news, there will be Rust related. If you're not familiarized, I tried to put some very simple snippets of code for you to compare it, and also the other programming language that I will be talking about, so you can digest them very easily and don't need to worry about it. So super simple in case, of course, the first surprise for you as a C++ developer will be like, whoa, no classes, that's weird. But then you can still kind of achieve similar behavior with the structured implementation of them and trying to get some methods associated with that. So you kind of achieve that thing. So I hope that at least this code is not so scary for you to say, like, okay, good, I think that I can understand Rust. As I said before, we were talking about bindings with the Python case. The C++ and the Rust story also, as I said, has been in discussion quite frequently nowadays, mostly from people from KDAP. This is an approach they have in one of the examples to do a minimal application between QML and Rust. You see there's a lot of procedural macros in order to expose these objects, in order to expose that specific instantiable type to QML. So sorry to put you on the spot. For our Rust developer in the audience, does this look weird to you, or it looks like, yeah, it's normal Rust, like I can deal with it? Okay, so you have seen it before. Because some people might argue like, well, there's a lot of, things that I don't like there, or a lot of cute stuff, whatever, but it works. I mean, you can use it. So CXX, if you don't know it, CXX is based on CXX, which is an FFI between Rust and C++. I think that there was some talk about mentioning this briefly before. I don't want to bore you with all the description, but in a nutshell, you have a way based on procedural macros to generate the bindings. You have access to interact with the Rust threads and update any Qt state that we have. Well, still in development, of course, and you cannot achieve everything, but at least there is some good compatibility with Qt Quick. So there are a few things that can be done with this. So both of this approach, the CXX Qt and the PySide that I was showing before, these work very well for Qt developers, people that is familiarized with Qt, right? But the problem is that what happened with people that is not aware of Qt? And this is the new thing that at least we are working on. Because it's very boring to have this echo chamber of like telling Qt developers about a new thing in Qt because they will accept it or not, but the community doesn't grow and the use cases doesn't grow either. So we need to find ways of trying to expose the good things of Qt to other languages in a not so cute way. I hope that makes sense for you. So I want to go back to the case of Python. If we come back to and check the code, I hope you can read this. Yeah, it's readable. This is the most simple, as I said, qpush button and in a main window for the PySide users. So you can have this thing there. But for Python users, that implementation also is a bit weird. And the reason it's weird is that, well, there's a few things. So first, maybe inheriting from other classes is something that specific Python developers will have as a known thing. Like, oh, sure, I need to inherit in order to use stuff. Most of the other frameworks don't do something similar like that. But okay, you need to inherit and then implement a few things there. Good. But then you need to also understand the Qt API, right? So you need to decorate this thing that is a slot. No idea what slot is. You need to do this click, connect. What is that? No idea. And that's the degrading. And then also there is this event loop. Well, if you're familiar with UI frameworks, this is something that you might be, okay, I need to show and start the application at some point, right? So this kind of sounds like writing a Qt application in Python rather than enabling a Python developer to have some code that has Qt application on it. So as I said, this might feel very unnatural for some people, and this was, at least I remember, people didn't throw me tomatoes on it, but when I was talking about this in Python in conference, there was a lot of critique because, I mean, the API was in camel case, not extended case. The patterns were very weird to the Python developers. There were not a big use of other Python isms in a way, like more decorators or context that is something that we didn't have. So all these things started to feed our backlog in a way that, okay, try to look for some solutions. So, as I said before, we are kind of forcing languages to handle Qt and C++, and this is something that I believe is not the right way. So how can we include all the languages without breaking the language paradigm? With this new project that we are developing. So far, it's calling Qt Bridges. I don't know if it will be the final name, but that's the name we came from after some discussion, but naming is difficult overall. So Qt Bridges, it's a very large effort. I mean, I rarely see names of people on slides, so I took the liberty to just put everyone that is involved. We have people from 3 sites currently working on this project. We have teams based on programming languages. I will tell you about the programming languages afterwards. But we do have a lot of people involved here, and it's a really interesting thing because something completely new, at least for the Qt company and the Qt project. So far, I was telling you about language bindings that you ended up having kind of a mix, overlapping things in the application. You have your backend, maybe you split it with the UI, but you have some Qt stuff in the middle with the bindings and exposing some API with whatever language you're using, which has been the approach that has been working all these years. But with this new approach, what we want to do is to try to split this even further and try to remove most of the Qt isms from the application that you have, so you can have nicely some graphical part, the bridge that we will provide, and then the application or backend code that you have. So as I said, splitting backend from the UI now for real, and trying to reduce as much as possible the Qt footprint, because I want new users not to learn everything from Qt in order to have a simple application. So the other option is that we thought, could we also have backend independence? So you have your QML or Qt Quick application defined, and you have your backend written in Python. You said, maybe performance is an issue. Let's rewrite it in Rust, see what happens. And then you can do this interchange without touching a lot of the code. This is at least one of the goals that we have. If you're into Qt internals and you're curious how we are achieving this, it's no big surprise because it's some API that we have using in PySide, for example. We're using the QMeta object builder in order to do the whole generation of types and registering everything to the meta object, signal, slot, and everything. And internally for instantiable types, we are using private API as well, because why not? It's private API, but if you can use it and settle it. So this is what happens under the hood. So the implementation details of this approach, I will quickly jump now in a few minutes on each one of the language examples that we currently have, is that we need to pick what is natural or what it feels natural to people to code with, and in order to point to specific parts of Qt that say, okay, I want this to be the backend of my application. I want this to be connected to some other part of my UI code, right? See, this of course is different in each language, so we embrace that. As I said before, we were trying all the time to be in this Qt bubble and then trying to bring a new language and put it inside with all the things. Now we're doing the approach of going there. What feels natural for Rust developers and Python developers and so on. So then different implementations, we have different implementation details on that, like if you're in Swift, maybe you're into observable types, there should be something like that, procedural macros in Rust, and also some other type of annotations for other languages. The package distribution is also something that I am aware, I guess everyone is aware that some people are not very fan of the way that Qt distribute packages, and there are like, of course, all the time efforts to try to improve this story, but it feels also very weird to push people from other languages to install packages the Qt way, right? It should feel natural to you. So if you are using, I don't know, Swift, you need to be able to add a dependency to your package Swift file. If you're using Rust, you need to have some crate with it, right? So again, it's something to think about. If we have something in other languages, we will of course distribute it the way that that language works. Developer environment as well. I mean, when you envision a new project, a new functionality, you need to think like, which IDE? I am very grateful to the Qt Creator team, at least, for all the effort they have put into having Python compatibility in Qt Creator. I don't know if you have been using it, but still, is forcing Qt Creator to be compatible with Python in a way that some buttons make no sense for the Python ideas. Some options also might not make sense. So you are really forcing this compatibility. And it should be as simple like, well, you're a Python developer, you're using, I don't know, PyCharm, Visual Studio Code. You can use that. I mean, it's fine. We don't want to force you to use Qt Creator. So at least, again, one of the basis ideas that we have, languages have their own favorite IDEs. I know in some cases there is no one defined IDE, but, you know, at least we need to embrace that idea as well. So this is a very interesting point that I want to do a little pause, that the moment that we started to discuss about this project, I saw a lot of people commenting and asking questions. So the target of this new project is not Qt developers. I mean, of course, you're a Qt developer, you can use it. But the idea of the whole project is to try to approach people that have not used Qt before, or maybe that were afraid of C++ for some reason, or the Python bindings. So again, since this is being developed from scratch, it's highly probable that once we have this thing out, not everything you can always have been doing with Qt will be possible to do with this thing. So you are being warned. So when tomorrow we announce it, I hope don't see your names on the writing mean blog post comments or something like, oh, but what about this thing? But yeah, so let's go down to maybe to a sneak peek of all the current implementation details. I want you to find issues in these implementation details. I want you to challenge me and say, that sounds very incorrect for my language, I will never use it, and quit the room. Now, maybe you can approach me. If you see something that you don't like and you feel that it doesn't make sense in your language, please let me know. Because it's very important for me, at least, to understand if something is not going into the right direction. I don't have time to speak about QML and Qt Quick, but in case you want, we have a book that is a bit outdated, but at least it shows a few important things. So in case you are completely new to QML and Qt Quick, and you have been using maybe Qt widgets only, it's a nice way to get started. So I will not go into that detail. So I will assume from now at least that you understand the basic idea of it. So the first research point and kind of like milestone that we had in this project was, can we just start from a simple C++ Qt Quick application? And this is a to-do list, you know, as to follow the trends of all the UI frameworks with these examples. And this is the QML code. Again, you're not intended to read it. I just want to show you that it is a bit long, but well, it's not too complicated after all, if you read it. But this is what is in charge of this thing. The backend, of course, of the initial application was in C++. So the idea was, can we do that, create a bridge, and have it exposed in different languages? So the first language that we picked was C#. If you're any C# developers here? No? Good. So maybe you will learn one or two things. I will not bore you with the description of all the programming languages, but as you know, object-oriented programming, type safety, garbage collection, you know, the library and the community also are very active. I was literally checking recently a few C# conferences. There is a lot. There's like now one happening in Prague. There's also this feature that I never had a chance to use it, which is the language integrated query. I don't know if you know, it's like a SQL, but for your data. It's cool, but you know. And then there's always asynchronous programming, generics, Lambda, and everything. So again, I'm putting there a little snippet in these languages that I will talk about it, so you're not too afraid of the language and you can know how more or less how it feels. So it is, believe it if you want it or not, kind of the default language for Windows development. I mean, I know that there are other languages out there, but you know, it is. There were some previous efforts that we had, so exposing .NET specifically to Qt, that we were trying to say, like, maybe we can iterate on that and try to use it. And as I said before, the .NET ecosystem and tooling is quite big, to be honest. I mean, I know a few companies that are mostly doing .NET stuff. So it's outside our bubble because here mostly C++ developers. Maybe in your bubble there is no C Sharp or .NET. So this is the minimal application that we had we have so far. And again, this might change for sure. Will change. You have a backend there. I hope you can read a few things. So there are like we cannot like get rid of all the Qt things that we have, right? But then you have at least decoration there for QML element. You have something related to your strings because it's a to-do list, so you need to have a list of things. You have ways of adding strings, having some condition to avoid duplicates, and in the main you have some stuff there to load the QML. Well, there are some cute isms there, as I said before, but we are trying to reduce them a lot. So I hope that people, C# in community can live with having, I don't know, doing this packaging, importing, and maybe decorating one thing or two with Qt. Okay, so that will be on the C# side of things. This is a little video, so you believe me that it works. Of course, it's very cut into just the final version there, but at least it's working, and you can have the same application with C#. The other language that was picked was Swift. If you're not familiar with Swift, again, my opinion, very cool language. It's great to see languages that are born of like new ideas from other programming languages. So it's very interesting as well. It's simple, in my opinion, to work with. There have been a lot of efforts of people to bring this thing to other places. And again, features, I will not bore you with that thing, but the usual thing, type safety, optionals, automatic reference counting, functional programming, and all the other things, because after all, this language was created with a lot of influence, in my opinion, from Rust, from Python, and of course, Objective-C to be compatible. But it's also good language, and we have it around. So again, we're talking about this default. I know that might be very opinionated, but it's kind of like the language that people is using if you want to do macOS development. So I know that we also can use Qt there, but people usually open Xcode, Swift, and then do Swift. There are also some efforts within the company to have at least, there was one example, to have a Swift and Qt application around. And it was also very possible because the FFI, but we wanted to explore that thing. And as I told you before, we had some discussions with Apple people, and they were also trying to bring this to Linux and Windows. So, why not? Language to include. And this is what currently the application can look like. If you're familiar with Swift, well, you see that there is, again, a few compromise here. You do need to decorate a class in order to expose this list. Again, this is only one specific case of a list of an abstract a model base. And then also for the application, you need to specify, of course, the file that you are using, in this case, the context name, in order to do some things under the hood. So at least a few lines that are related to Qt, but we believe that at least is quite reduced. A video like C#, so you believe me that it works. I wanted to, on purpose, leave this allowed pop-up that I really hate from Mac. I understand it, but I hate it. But yeah, still around, and you can have your Swift application and Qt application. The other language is Java. I was asking you before, there's a lot of Java projects out there. And I mean, again, if we are in our circles, we have nobody that is doing Java, well, the community is quite large still. So it makes sense to go to this language as well. I doubt you are not familiarized with Java, but in case you are, little snippet on the left. And well, what can I tell you about this programming language? It has more or less everything that the other programming languages has as well. So we had some knowledge with Java in the Qt project because we had compatibility with Android, and also the whole Qt automotive experience that people can have within the company by developing solutions for that. We have Java there. And we even have a code generator called QGeni in order if you want to execute from the C++, from C++ to Java. Yes, or the other way around? The other way around? No, anyway. And we have also the third-party bindings with QtJambi, which is up to date. I mean, there are people using Java out there and want to use Qt for some reason. So, people out there might have a good use case that maybe we have not considered so far. So this one is a bit more convoluted, and most of these problems lies into like how do we do things internally? And you can see here, there is not only a couple of lines, but there are a few of the things that we need to define. And again, these things are quite likely to change. So you need to define kind of callback in case you want to have it. Decorate this also callback there. And then also you need to register this as a singleton. So you need to expose, in this case, specifically the QList model, which is something that we would like to hide. But again, this is the current state, it's not the final solution, and we are trying to little by little try to remove other things from the code. So you can see there that, sorry, you are relying on the callback in order to, try to call some functions from there, and you still get this queue around. So as I said before, one of the goals is to remove all the queues that we can have in the code. And but yeah, at least the main is not so complicated. At least, well, we need to instantiate an application, right? So we need to have that. Maybe the name could change in order to get rid of the queue, but yeah. But not so critically complicated, in my opinion. Video as well. So you believe me, it works. This is also one of the, it has a lot of items. But again, using Java and Qt, without, of course, the Qt Jambi, but the new Qt Bridges approach. The other good thing is that you get interoperability with other languages. Anyone familiar with Kotlin? Yes? Yeah. So yeah. Kotlin also will be out of because of the compatibility on Java. I always said that Kotlin is the Python that Java developers wrote themselves to use because they didn't have Python. So, but it's a very cool language. I have used it a couple of times. And if you get it also into the mix, cool. A language for free. And then Python. And then you will say, yeah, why are you talking about Python? Again, if you already had PySet. Well, as I told you before, there were many, in my opinion, things and quirks that we are asking too much for Python developers, so we still wanted to reiterate on this language. I don't want to bore you again with all the information of this language because most of you will know it. But the experience that we have with PySet is something that we wanted to revisit and try to find a way as simple as possible to expose this thing. And the other option as well is that Python remains to be the most popular languages by at least the TOB index, and not the most popular, but one of the most popular according to Stack Overflow survey. And before I was mentioning a few interoperability with other frameworks in other areas like web development or I don't know, even microcontrollers that are very appealing in order to have like envisioning this thing working in many of those fields as well. For some reason, and I'm not saying this is in a bad way, a lot of Python developers or PySet developers are usually super keen into like, I want to have my PySet application running on Android or running on iOS. We only have Android, the support so far. iOS is being in research with PySet, so there is still a lot of interest and people that want to use Python for kind of everything. But we can give it a try. This is the code. It's a very old version, to be honest. I think we have been working quite a lot. Just today, this morning, I saw a new proposal of these things that hides most of the things that we have here in the main. And also, oh my God, I put a slash, but I meant the pound key. And as you can see, the most important part of this snippet is that this is a Python class. There is only one thingy here called update QML that also was renamed recently, and that's it. That's the only Qt you have in that class. Of course, then we are registering the instance of this class, and then we are treating also Python properties, translating them into Qt properties without any specific decorator because everything else here is Python. So this is way better, in my opinion, than what we had before because the full bindings that I am required for you to scale and inherit and implement many other things. Again, little video, so you know it works. Okay, the thing works with Python as well. And with Rust again. One of the things that I'm really impressed by the thing that CXExecute and QMetaObject are achieving by exposing this thing. But at least with the little experience that I have with Rust and the code that I have been reading, I have the feeling that CXExecute has a lot of Qt isms, of course, explicitly in the code. So we have been in discussion with them in order to see how both projects can continue existing, like similar to PySite and the new bridges. So we have tried different approaches to explore how to do this thing with Rust. So again, little snippet on the left if you are unaware, and I don't need to convince you or tell you all the features of Rust. We even had a keynote talking about the other things besides memory safety in the Rust ecosystem. So, well, most likely you know. We are reusing the experience, the language popularity, and adoption is something that we want to focus. And in my opinion, the tooling at Rust is the most amazing thing that I have seen. So I really would like for people to have that flexibility of using cargo, for example, and having Qt applications very easily. So again, you will say, yeah, but Christian, you were just mentioning that you don't like CXX Qt because it has a lot of Qt isms, and you're showing me now a code that has many Qt things. So we had a, a workshop recently, and then we are completely rethinking the whole Rust implementation, because here we do have the same ideas that you saw before, right? So decorating maybe the initial implementation of this backend, but then there are other things that we thought, maybe we could hide all those things. So in this case, for example, do we really need to have a Q variant there? Maybe we can expose it in a different way and hide that thing. Do we really need to decorate the slots? Or can we maybe do the assumptions like we do in Python and maybe take all the functions that we have in this context and as a slot? I mean, it will not be damaging. So there are many things here that, as I said, that we didn't like. For example, this as well. You have a specific Q-signal blocker. This is something that we believe that should go away. I don't know how much we will manage to do it. It really depends on many people. One of them sitting in the room, but I will not looking at him, so he don't feel the pressure. But the idea will be to try to get rid of the most things that we can have that. Because otherwise, then I will just playing like, yeah, sure, you don't want 3 procedural macros, but look at all the other Qt-related things. So as I said, in the recent code snippets that we have, that, sorry for not putting them here, we are reducing this thing quite a lot. And last but not least, a little video that I didn't include the compilation part because compiling CXX overall and other bindings is taking a lot of time, but at least you know it works. So again, just to finish summarizing things, all the snippets that I showed you before, it's something that is heavily under development. Most probably will be changed, and it really depends on the feedback that we can have from people like you, and also once we put it out for the TP, that we can have something around. So anything for the C++ developers? I don't have a lot of time. I have 12 minutes, but I might need to rush a little bit this thing. So when we started this project, I got, even in the past event from KDE, and questions like, yeah, you are doing all these things, but what about C++ developers? Do we get anything? Is anyone here familiar with the QRangeModel? QRangeModel recently announced is a blog post and stuff. Okay. So the QRangeModel, at least this is from a presentation that Volker did in the past academy, is a meta implementation of QAbstract item model. The idea is to still have it compatible with QWidgets and QQuick. And what we are doing in a nutshell is to try to detect the input of some specific range and define the structure model, like maybe you have a tree, a table, a list of items, whatever. And then the items itself will define how the data is represented. Not clear, don't worry, I will show you now a snippet. As I said, available from 6.10. The goal was to have this doesn't work, by the way, was to have this. But of course, because of some limitation of APIs, we need to have one specific thing that will kind of like parse not parse, so trying to adapt that specific input source data into the model and trying to make all these assumptions like, okay, how many dimensions are here, the structure, the type of item that we have inside. So that's why we are introducing now this QRangeModel that will allow you to have something very specific. I didn't add it here many examples, but you can add everything that it's kind of like a range star there with a few exceptions. But as I said, you can treat this in a QAbstract item model as a tree of tables internally when you're representing, and the QRangeModel can be a subset of whatever you have, a subset of items, maybe sequence with equal sizes, so it will be kind of like a table, or maybe a tree of some rows that have equal sizes as well. And what we do, this is a very templated class that, oh, sorry, here I think that I'm missing some code here. It's a very templated class that kind of compatible with the definition of the range by the standard. And also these discoveries are happening at compile time in order we can see the type, the row type, the item type, and everything. So if you're a C++ developer, this is not a bridge per se, but it's an orthogonal thing, but I just wanted to mention it in case we had a lot of C++ developers in the audience. So now I would say, wait, you have many questions, maybe not, but gathering from the experience that we got from talking with people, at least there are a few things that I just want to highlight just to finalize. There maybe are questions that you have for the Qt bridges. So the first one, with angry faces of, yeah, but what about this language? Because it should be there in the list. The five that you picked were wrong. So one of the goals also that we have with this project is to document the process of maybe people adding more bridges to other languages. Because as I said, we are using some internal API that anyone can use to create another bridge. So it's a good thing. There are many other languages that at least we have getting comments out of it. Do we have anyone that know which language is this one? No? In the other conference that I was, people knew it. No, so also you don't know the name of the star because yes, so now you have homework. Other languages might not happen. I mean, Carbon, is a thing still. I don't know. There's not even a compiler, but yeah. We want to explore other programming languages because the idea of this is to have really a set of programming languages interacting and having the way of having Qt applications. What about feature X, whatever? As I said, initially, we are considering this very limited amount of features for how we are exposing data to the models in Qt applications. But we will get for sure getting more features around, so don't worry about it. So then a few people even internally in the company told me like, well, this project, what if I need more of Qt? I need to use all these weird modules, whatever, and Qt Bridge doesn't have it. Well, at least is that we see initially that this project might be an entry point for people, and then if you really need to have the specific API or something, then you might need to move to either C++, Python, or other Python or Java or other binding that we have for the Qt framework itself. But this is not intended to be a one-on-one binding, but as I said before, something completely different. So some people ask me also like, oh, so you're stopping the work on the bindings? No, we are continue working on it, both for Pi side, hopefully with some collaborations with KDAV on CXX Qt. We want those things to keep to stay alive because we want to have both solutions for people. So why is only Qt Quick? I hope that you are still not in 2025 arguing that Qt Quick is a more very attractive solution to applications compared to Qt widgets. But in case you are, at least in the project, we believe that Qt Quick is the way of developing Qt applications nowadays. We still have Qt widgets around, but Qt Quicks, I think, had opened more doors than Qt widgets. Is everything in the QML language supported? Well, again, not at the moment. A few things, mostly focusing on Qt Quick and all the components that Qt has is the initial idea, but other weird things like attached properties or these kind of things in QML might be supported maybe in the future, but not so far. Can I combine all the languages? Well, not really at the moment, but as I said, at least the idea we have in mind is for you to interchange the backend. Do I want to brainwash C++ developer with this project? Well, no, not really. It's just, again, opening the door for new developers so we can have more people around. Will be open source? Yes, it will be open source. That's the main goal, at least, to go and play with the same rules of each one of those languages communities. So, when it will be released? Well, initially it's planned for by the end of this year, but then by some definition of year. But hopefully can be around. If not, maybe it can be delayed, but I don't think it will be delayed so much in case it was. So, to summarize, what does it mean to have more languages with Qt Bridges? I believe that Qt Bridges means more communities. Qt Bridges means new ideas, new expertise in the ecosystem, a better Qt ecosystem, and the most important part, try to bring Qt everywhere in other programming languages and other communities. Yeah. So that will be it from my side, and I think we will not have much time for question, or maybe yes, but in case you have anything, I will be here the whole day. Thank you very much. We still have 5 minutes in case someone has any question. Oh, sorry, can I hear you properly? What? Yeah, so the reason of the community not being so great, well, you recently checked, right? Or you are talking about, okay. Yeah, that's the thing. So before it was terrible, now I believe that is in a good shape. And I know I'm biased with that, but I invite you to check it out. The reason of that is because before we were by hand, kind of maintaining the documentation of the whole API, and now we have some more mechanism to do it in a more automatic way. The problem with automatic way is also that translating snippets, it's really painful, because then how do you do when you have snippets within QDoc code? So we don't have any tool to do that. We're maintaining by hand, but we managed to achieve good documentation right now. So I'm saying that I invite you to check it now. But with bridges, at least, the good thing is that we don't need to document Qt API. It's completely new API. So at the moment, we are relying on each one of the languages to have their own toolchain for documentation, generating something that we will include in the final documentation website. But it's new API. That's the thing. So we don't need to translate anything that we used to have in C++. So hopefully, I hope that when the thing is out, you will like more the this documentation. But yeah, it's a good question though. Any other question? Then if not, thank you very much again and see you around.